Hello, I'm Scott. Welcome back to my channel CineRam, and this is Motion Conflict Underoos, my abbreviated series on the MCU. Endgame, just a couple days away now. It technically opens tomorrow. I'll be seeing it Saturday with some friends. I'm actually out of town at the moment, out of the usual town anyway. I was joining some friends for a Star Wars trivia night. We didn't place, unfortunately. Who remembers the name of the guy who gave the PowerPoint presentation of the Death Star in the very first Star Wars movie, huh? Something like Madonna, right? Or Dodonna or something like that. I don't remember the guy's name. I ought to know Echo Base, though, from Empire Strikes Back. Didn't remember that it actually had a name. I just remembered Echo 3 to Echo 7, Honol, buddy, do you read me? That's what I remember. Anyway, we're talking about Marvel, of course, and I have caught up with nearly everything. There's two movies that I decided to just skip altogether. Spider-Man Homecoming and Doctor Strange. I rewatched Black Panther because I'd actually only seen that movie one time in the theater. I'd seen bits of it subsequently. But yeah, I want to rewatch Black Panther. Really like that movie. It's really good. Doctor Strange and Spider-Man Homecoming, I just thought, I don't actually need to rewatch those movies before Endgame, because those characters, while they may pop up at some point, their backstory and everything is not really relevant to what happens. So I'm skipping those. Just going to devote Thursday, that would be tomorrow, to Thor Ragnarok and a rewatch of Infinity War, which I haven't seen from beginning to end since it was in the theater. I've seen parts of it, though, many parts of it, many times since then on disc, but haven't watched the whole movie, so going to do that. Reviews are starting to come out, I guess, so if you're interested in spoiling the entire story, go ahead and read them. I'm not. I'll maybe look at what letter grade they gave it or how many stars, what have you. But no, not going to read any more of it than I possibly have to before I see the film on Saturday. By the way, as far as what I've rewatched recently, I did a double feature of Ant-Man on Sunday. Watched two Ant-Man movies in a row, pretty much, and I don't like them. The first movie that I liked pretty well, even though I thought, the sci-fi science behind it was kind of ridiculous. I mean, if he can shrink and be more powerful, if he grows to giant size, wouldn't he be less powerful then? Wouldn't he be incredibly weak? Wouldn't he basically, collapse on himself? These are questions that you're not supposed to ask of a comic book movie. But when it's Ant-Man, when it's just kind of silliness and goofiness and comedy, the comedic nature of it, it's hard not to sort of scrutinize some of these details that they put out. Also, yeah, a lot of the sci-fi BS questions have sci-fi BS solutions, so ultimately it isn't all that really consequential. I liked Ant-Man 2 more this time, but I still don't think it's that great. I think one of the most important reasons why I don't like either of these movies is because of Michael Douglas. I like Michael Douglas as an actor. I've liked him in a lot of movies, but his character is a total downer. He's always angry or sad or complaining. He gets very, very few fun moments because he's just obsessing over Janet and how he can't get her back. And I lost her however many years ago it was. Yeah, not a lot of fun. Paul Rudd's fun, and of course his friends are fun. But yeah, I find the Ant-Man movies to be kind of frustrating, especially the second one, just because complications get piled up into the point where it's I'm just like going, okay, whatever, it'll be over soon, so I'll just stick it out. Anyway, so yeah, not really fond of the Ant-Man movies. The director is Peyton Reed. Peyton Reed directed, if I recall correctly, Bring It On, the cheerleader movie, and Down with Love, which is sort of set in the 50s or 60s, maybe the 60s. Ewan McGregor and Renee Zellweger starred in that. And I was considering seeing one of those movies for my not MCU series. I've decided that once Endgame's finished, I'm going to do a short series of films that were directed by guys who have made films for the MCU but are not actually in the MCU, that have nothing to do with Marvel or comic books of any kind. There's some big guys like Kenneth Branagh, who have made films, lots of films besides the one that he did for, and it'll also give me a chance to go back and look at some of the things that I never actually got to check out. The Russo brothers have made, at this point, 4 movies for the MCU, but they made a couple comedies prior to that, You, Me, and Dupree, so maybe I will check that one out, or some of the other films that are, made by these guys that aren't, that would be a little series that I would do after Marvel, because quite frankly, with all the Marvel that I've been watching, I'm getting a little sick of it, and I think I'm going to take a nice long break on the Marvel Cinematic Universe after this is done. Of course, I'm still going to see Endgame, and probably more than once, and of course I'm going to see the next Spider-Man movie when it comes out in July, but aside from rewatching all these movies, I want to give it like a good 5 years. I want to wait like 5 years at least before I rewatch any of them again. Just because, you got to take a break. There's all kinds of other stuff to see. So I think maybe I'll be doing that. But the topic of today's video, of course, is the action sequence. These superhero movies, they have lots of action sequences in them, fights and scenes of mass destruction and all kinds of stuff. And so I've made myself a little list, the top 10 action scenes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. These aren't in order from 10 to 1 or 1 to 10. They're just in chronological order from when the movies came out. My first candidate is the first Iron Man movie, and it is Tony's escape from the cave when he jerry-rigs the first Iron Man suit using a little bit of material from one of his repulsor missiles, and creates an Iron Man suit with clockwork mechanisms in the back and a lot of armor plating in front, and fries guys and deflects bullets, and finally rockets his way out of that cave. Good scene, real good scene. I like it better than the other ones in that movie. So that would be one of them. Number 2, the climax of the first Avengers movie, the big battle in New York. Lots and lots of great moments in that, lots of fun stuff. It's really long. It's like, half an hour long if you count from the moment when Tony arrives in New York and confronts Loki. Still, that's like 5 minutes. So 25 minutes is still really long for an action scene. But this whole trying to stop the Chitauri and get the invasion bottlenecked, as it were, and the Avengers first coming together for the first time to work together, that is a great scene. Really like it a lot. The next one, Iron Man 3, the rescue from Air Force One. That's a really, really great scene. There's like 3 really great action scenes in that movie. One of them being the one where Tony has to fight off bad guys using only a boot and a glove. That's a really cool scene. But the best one, I think, is one where they got a bunch of skydivers to fall out of a plane multiple times so that they could photograph them for real. And Iron Man swoops in and rescues them. Or at least his suit does. And find out it was piloted remotely later when it gets smashed to pieces. It's like, did he die? No, he didn't die. That's a fun scene. Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World has a scene at the climax of the movie in which Natalie Portman and Stellan Skarsgård are using their technology to create dimensional warps and zap bad guys out of the battlefield and back into other places, and it's just a kooky scene. It's really a lot of fun. At one point, Thor ends up on a completely different planet, and Mjolnir rockets off into the sky, apparently going to take the long way to find Thor again, and then he ends up back on Earth again, and so it turns around and rockets back towards him again. It's a really fun scene. I've always really liked that scene a lot. A lot of people don't like that movie. I think it's pretty good, and I especially like that scene, so that'd be one. Number 5, excuse me, I'm like 5 days past due of getting over this cough. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. There's a couple of great scenes in this movie. The one that I like the best, of course, is the fight in the elevator, where Cap gets trapped by a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. guys who turn out to be Hydra, and they all try and take him on at once inside an enclosed little space. It's a great, great, great scene. Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, big hit. And my favorite scene in that movie, as far as action goes, is when they escape from the space prison. And Rocket says, we need the battery on the wall, but, everything's going to go to hell once we get that, so we got to get it last. And Groot, of course, immediately pulls it out. And the alarms go off, and then everybody starts shooting and craziness all over the place. It's a fun scene. Really like that one a lot. Also, my favorite line from Drax is in that scene. Nothing goes over my head. I would catch it. My reflexes are too fast. Really like that one. Avengers Age of Ultron. the fight between Hulk and Tony in the Hulkbuster suit. Really, really best scene, best action scene in the whole movie. Also one of my favorite moments where he accidentally knocks out one of Hulk's teeth, and Hulk glares at him, and Tony's like, "I'm sorry." That's a really cool scene. Especially the jackhammer arm that goes, "Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep." That's really funny. Really like that scene a lot. Some of the scenes in that movie are just plain incoherent because they're too quickly cut. But that one's a good one. That one's a really good one. Number 8, Captain America: Civil War, the big airport battle. You know, that's a totally awesome scene. There's a lot more emotional impact in the scene at the end, which is the fight between the 3 main guys. But the airport scene is so much fun. I love it. I love it to death. Could watch it over and over again. Finally, 9 and 10 are both from Infinity War. The first big set piece in the movie is the fight in New York City, where Tony and Doctor Strange and Wong and Spider-Man take on Ebony Maw and one of his brutes, and trying to kidnap Doctor Strange, and Peter jumps into the fight, and it's really, really fast-paced, a lot of really inventive stuff happening. We get a good look at Ebony Maw's abilities and what he can do, which is really cool. And the other one from Infinity War being, of course, the fight on Titan, with Tony and Spidey and the Guardians taking on Thanos, and trying to get that Infinity Gauntlet off of his hand, which, of course, they are quite successful. Those are my top 10 favorite action sequences in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it's a pretty strong list. Anyway, yeah, and I enjoy watching some of these scenes over and over and over again. It's really a lot of fun. So that's my little video for today. And the next video I do will be, of course, after I rewatch Infinity War on Thursday. I'll do a special review just on Infinity War and, you know, what I think are the great things about it, and maybe a couple weak things, but for the most part, it's pretty great. So I'll be talking about that, and of course, after I see the big one, I'll have a review of Endgame, a special video on Endgame and what I thought of that next week, Monday or Tuesday. You know, won't be too long. I've got to watch and think about it for a little bit. I'm not going to have it right away. Sorry, but I will have it, by midweek next week at the very latest. I hope you'll tune in for that. If you would like to check out my Facebook page, that's below. That's my special CineRam Facebook page where you can find all my new videos if they don't show up in your subscription inbox, which they might not. Also, Jim Gisriel and Luke Ryan both have Marvel Cinematic Universe playlists where you can find their videos. I urge you to check them out because they're both great guys, and I really like hearing them talk about these films as well. And I hope you do too. Thank you very much. I will see you real soon, and if you're going to see Endgame right now, I hope you enjoy it. I hope I do too. Later.